This past week, I went with my wife to the post office to get a passport. And the process of getting a passport, she had to present various forms of ID. You know, a birth certificate, she gave a driver's license, a Social Security, and a bunch of photographs, which she would not let me see. There was actually a little fight in the post office. You know, violence breaks out there once in a while. But she won because I wasn't going to push that particular issue. And so maybe I might be able to see her passport photo a little bit later. But, you know, it's a great comfort to have the U.S. government confirm her identity, you know? You know, they confirmed that Barbara Kay is indeed the daughter of Harold and Ann Brom, and they validated it, stamped, everything like that. They had a problem with when it said that she was 56 years old. Not only was the person in the back of the counter, but some of the people around were saying, no way, no way. She's more like the 40s or something like that, and I agree with that. You know, and there's benefits to having your ID confirmed. I can now freely cross back and forth across our borders. I am now, in line to receive all the benefits of this great country, all of its support. Everything that the U.S. government affords is available to me because they've confirmed my identity. Now, I'm aware that you don't even have to confirm your identity if you come at certain places, and you do still get all of the benefits that this country cannot afford. But we're trying to resolve that with some kind of more provable ID. Now, the FTC estimate that there is probably about 9 million Americans who have had their identities stolen. I don't know if you're aware of that. You've probably seen the ads to protect your identity. Well, why would anybody worry about having your identity stolen? Well, because there is great value associated with who you are. If you know who you are, there is great value in that. You know, how many of you know your identity well? Why doesn't the person next to you introduce yourself and introduce themselves to yourself? Identity is something that is a little bit nebulous. I think that other people around us sometimes see us a little more accurately than we do ourselves. I know that every time I'm an artist and every time I draw a picture, I definitely put myself in the best light. And especially with Photoshop available, most of the pictures, I do a little adjustment down here. My kids and family can't stand the fact that I always adjust a little bit. Not enough to have people recognize it, but I have been known to adjust. Our own perception of who we are is prejudiced. You know that? You know you're biased, and sometimes it's corrupted. Your identity of who you are it's worse. Your identity, your perception of who you are is way worse than God sees you. You know, if I were to ask you to prove your identity, don't pull out your ID. And a picture ID, photo will not suffice. I don't care if we end up actually getting to the point where we're using biometrics and have that kind of a card with your thumbprint somehow stored inside of it, or a retina scan. That still would not clearly identify who you are. You know, the teen standing on the precipice of adulthood, wrestling with the question of who they are, doesn't care about their blood type or where they fit into the genome project. That's not the question that they're wrestling with. Who am I? They want to know where they fit into life. They want to know what they need to do. Of all the things that can be done, what am I supposed to be doing? And who am I supposed to be doing it with? Where do I fit in? Our identity is tied into fitting into a larger thing. We're social creatures. We weren't meant to be alone. Not only, I heard in the message Jesse gave, it's not good for a man to be alone. You know, and a cow won't do, a horse won't do, and even a pig. And my wife did not get that. He said that a pig is the most the fun, because has no inhibitions and doesn't care what anything, and it has not even a self-awareness, so it's free, But we aren't meant to be alone. We are social creatures. And our identity is sometimes tied up in being part of something else. This age-old question of our identity, which gnaws at the soul of anyone who seriously or honestly thinks, is not a material question that can be answered. It is a spiritual question. The good news is, God wants to and is willing to communicate and confirm to you who you are. And today, if you have spiritual ears to listen, you will get a better understanding of who it is you are. It says in Mark 8, verse 27. This particular story we're going to read here is recorded in several Gospels, and I'm going to bounce between two of them. So the second part of the story, I like what it says. It fills in more details later, but let's read it. Jesus went out along with his disciples to the village of Caesarea Philippi, and on the way he questioned his disciples, saying to them, "Who do people say that I am?" You ever ask that question? Did you ever Google yourself? How many Googled yourself? Who do people say that you are? All right? It wasn't like Jesus was wondering, was having an identity crisis and needed to have some validation or a little bit of confirmation as to what his call was. This was very much a question that was very leading to get them to think about who they were. All right? Who do men say that I am? Most people don't preach this message here about this. There's so much truth in this story, but I'm cueing in on just this part. Jesus asking, who does men say that I am? Then it continues on in Matthew 16, 14 through 17. And they said, some say, or they say, how many would like to meet they someday? A lot of theys out there say a lot of things. But they say, some say John the Baptist, and others Elijah, and still others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. Oh, that's pretty good. He said to them, but who do you say that I am? And before I go on a little bit further here, I don't really care very much what they think about me. I do care about what you think of me. Those who are close to me, those who know me. How many honestly care very much about those closest to you, what they think of you? You better, because they're watching and they're learning and they're trying to figure out who you are. And make sure you send out the right signal.